very significant proportions, that those phrases "never again" seem to stick in their gullets, because what they are seeing is now 3 years of seemingly not just a war without end, but a war without law as well. And so I think the stakes are very high, not just for those who are in the firing line, the Syrians themselves, the neighboring countries that are under such huge duress, but the humanitarian system as a whole, because our assumptions, our norms, our practices are being stretched by this extraordinary crisis, which, as you indicated at the beginning, is not the only crisis that's around. Because one of the things that I have to keep an eye on is that there are stories not in the news. I've just come back from South Sudan. We can talk about that later. But always there's a question of stretch within a region, but also stretch globally, because it's not just in the Middle East that there is this real sense that the scale of humanitarian need is outstripping the capacity of the humanitarian system.
Right. I'd love to ask you about those crises not in the news a little bit later,
Yeah.
but staying on Syria for the moment, tell me what, first of all, the IRC is doing there. How are you engaged? How are you helping people?
So Syria has become effectively our largest country program. We're a $500 million organization. Until recently, our work in Democratic Republic of Congo was our largest program. It was a $70 million program. It's now being outstripped by what we're doing for health, for some education, for protection of women and kids, some water and sanitation work in Syria and in the neighboring countries. We're not recognized in Damascus. We were thrown out of Syria by the Assad regime in 2009. We've been helping some Iraqi refugees in the country, and we were expelled. So our work inside Syria is done cross-border. And for obvious reasons, I can't say too much about it, but we're open about the fact that we are doing cross-border work from Turkey to the northern part of Syria, and also from Jordan, southern part. And obviously now with the flow of Iraqis inside the country, the internally displaced from Mosul, there's a lot of pressure on our Iraqi program as well. But the type of work we're doing is basic healthcare, primary healthcare, some basic education, and also this huge issue of how you protect women and girls from the double violence, the violence that's first inflicted upon them as people displaced by conflict, and then secondly, the abuse, sexual violence, but also wider violence that's inflicted upon them in horrific scale in these kind of emergencies.
What more do you wish that the international community were doing, the politicians?
I mean, obviously, in the humanitarian sector, our job is to staunch the dying, but we rely on politics to stop the killing.
Right.
And so, obviously, the greatest hope is that the kind of political exercise, political pressure that's necessary to bring this such a destructive war, and some people call it a civil war. It's not just that it's highly uncivil,